morning, mga katribu. We're back with the Straight Talk of the Daily Tribune. So this is a weekly program where we tackle the most pressing issues of the day. I'm Chito Lozada.
And I'm Teddy Montelibano.
Today we have a very distinguished guest. He's the Presidential Advisor of Muslim Affairs, Mr. Almarim Senti Tillah, and he has a long list of credentials.
Yes.
He was the Special Presidential Envoy to the Organization of the Islamic Countries, an advisor on Muslim affairs of Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos when he was senator, administrator and of Southern Philippines Development Authority. He's also the executive director of the Office of the Regional Commissioner, which is the precursor of the ARMM and the BARM. And he's the governor, still a governor?
No,
former governor
Tawi-Tawi.
of the province of Tawi-Tawi. He's the vice president for Mindanao, League of Provincial Governors and City Mayors of the Philippines. He also wrote more than 200 articles and columns for Manila Bulletin regarding Muslims in Mindanao. And he's the most distinguished member of the UP Pansinya Fraternity and the governor of the UP Pansinya Fraternity, the only Muslim to ever held it since 1923. Governor, we welcome you to our program.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So, as the advisor of President Bongbong Marcos, what specifically are your functions?
Well, my marching orders from the president and priorities is to have all our Muslim brothers together, irrespective of tribes, tribal origins, to come together for peace and development, and to be part of, finally, the national society. You in Islam, or Islam is known for the religion of peace, and Christianity is known for love. So both these universal religions can come together in a unifying factor under the advocacy of the president, unity, national unity. Early on, we have been articulating this from way back, unity in diversity. And that's what we'll plan to pursue.
Unity in diversity. That's a very accurate word to describe it.
Yeah, so, go ahead, no. I just wanted to find out how difficult is it to, how difficult is it to make the transition from a region, no? I'm talking about the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. It's been seen as a region that has long been plagued with corruption, with neglect, especially from the national government, and a lot of conflict.
That's correct.
To one that is peaceful, stable, and prosperous. What to your mind, sir, are the most challenging obstacles that hinder this transition?
Well, first of all, we have Imperial Manila. I called.
Did you tell President Bongbong?
Yes, I told him. And he repeated it at one time. Imperial Manila.
Yes, he's a
I
very
said,
deceptive president.
You know, Bong, up to now I can't call him president. Kasi nasanay ako, Bong. All these 6 years we were in the Senate. Sabi ko, Bong. Then at times I check my president. Ko, Tawi-Tawi is closer to Malaysia than even Zamboanga City. That's how distant we are to the center of government. Katapos, sabi ko, many of these cabinet members do not even visit our region, not even my province, only a few throughout these, years of governance. So it's about time that we embrace the entire archipelagic, areas, especially the island provinces of Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, and Basilan. These are 3 island provinces now, very distant, no? So that's one, in terms of governance. In terms of policies, plans, programs, and even mechanics of implementation, um, we don't have anybody in the Senate at that time until my sister came in, Senator Santanina Tillah Razul and Senator Mamintal Tamano. That was the only important, period in our political life as Muslims
representation
from that
in the
era in terms of
national
representation. Then sa cabinet, halos wala eh. Paminsan-minsan lang meron.
But you have now a
Yeah.
very young
Yes,
budget secretary.
yes,
Meron
she's
ang dami,
very,
ang
she's very
Very bright and,
efficient, bright. The family is a very prestigious family in Mindanao.
Where is she from, sir?
She's from Lanao.
From Lanao, yes.
She's other
Yes,
side,
Lanao.
no? Amina.
Amina,
Pangandaman.
Amina
She's
Pangandaman.
brilliant and very
So she's from Lanao.
Young
yes,
and brilliant.
yes. And yung mga ganyan, mga developments, it brings the Muslims closer to home, to the national government. So I am sure, because in my 6 years of being the consultant, presidential now consultant, before was of then Senator Bongbong Marcos
Yes.
as senatorial consultant for Muslim affairs.
So you already had experience
Already
working
6 years.
with
We worked
with
together
the
for
current
6 years.
president.
Yes.
During the time when he was senator.
Senator for
you were
6
with
years.
him.
Yes, I was
Oh,
his
great.
advisor on
So there's no
Muslim affairs.
transition.
Wala.
I mean, in terms of your
transition,
relationship-
graduating from
your
the
profe-
Senate
yeah,
to
your
the
professional
President.
relationship with the president.
And one thing with this president, in my long, 27 years of friendship, brotherhood, no? From 1995, yan, kasama kami. He's one leader who listens.
Yes.
And very vital, no? And crucial actually in governance is when the head of state listens.
Listens.
Kasi there are many views, ideas, and all that. You have to put them together and tingnan mo saan maganda doon. And when he knows it's a good and viable formula or solution or imbued with wisdom, he acts. This is the good thing about this president.
he's decisive.
Very decisive.
Yeah, a lot of people are surprised about. I mean, pleasantly surprised
Yes.
about
Pleasantly
how he is.
Correct.
You know,
Boyish lang siya.
Because-
He's being boyish.
Yes, boyish.
The way he looks.
Profile, no?
but when
Pero
he opens his
talagang
mouth
decisive yan.
and you know, he talks with authority.
Yes, very much. Very
And
much.
talks with authority and with knowledge. That's very important.
He was congressman, he was governor.
Correct. Yes, she's not a neophyte.
Yeah.
And plus, of course, living with his father.
Yes, of course.
yeah.
I mean,
He
that's
learned a lot.
That's
Steep in
a
politics.
huge
Marami yan.
factor there.
Marami yan.
So you're happy with I was asking you earlier, no, well, it was off camera, but we'll make it on camera now.
Yes,
There's a lot of controversy about Senior Marcos.
yes.
Some people even see him as the one who really gave birth to the mushrooming of all these groups that are calling for autonomy in Muslim Mindanao. So I was gonna ask you how do you feel about knowing that background about the Senior Marcos? How does it feel about working with the Junior Marcos?
With the junior one.
No, before that, I worked with the technocrats of the late president, who were my fraternity brothers. Paeng Salas, the secretary.
Salas,
I was still,
yeah. He's my uncle.
Yeah, he was a student at UP. Brad Odicorpus.
Oh, yeah, it was my former
May
boss.
rest in peace.
Well,
Brad Cesar
technically-
Virata
Technically,
of finance.
DAP, yes.
These were my fraternity brothers. Although I didn't work directly with the president, I worked with my fraternity brothers who were cabinet
place.
members of the
Who were in
president.
place, yes.
Okay? Greg Licaros, the governor of the central bank there,
Greg Licaros,
among others. Dr. Jaime Laya. About a dozen of my fraternity brothers were
So
brought in.
that trend of bringing in technocrats.
Technocrats, yes.
Having been with DAP.
Yes.
Well, at the time, I was really assigned to human settlements, which was just
Sina,
it was just a
ano yan,
program.
yes, sina Jolly Benitez.
Jolly Benitez and
We're
Veronica.
coordinating.
Yes. He was then it was just a program of DAP, you know,
Yes,
the
yes.
Development Academy.
Later
of
on,
the
it
Philippines.
became a
But
department.
then
that
Jolly
time,
Benitez transitioned
Yes,
it,
yes.
or he developed
And it was a good
into
thing, ha? Malaking
and gave it
bagay
to
yun.
Madam. No?
Yes. Magandang
Mrs. Melda
program.
Marcos.
Magandang
Yeah,
program.
and he really attracted a lot of technocrats,
Yes, very much.
even from abroad, and even the president, you know, former Marcos.
Yes.
Teddy Boy Luxin was also a relative
Yes,
of mine, was just telling us about how his father,
Yeah.
the brilliant genius, Teodoro Sr.,
Yes.
was invited by the president to sit in the cabinet, and the only non-politician was invited to sit in the
Sit the
cabinet at the
cabinet,
time. So the president was not, or the former president
Yeah.
Marcos was not afraid of people with
No, no,
intellect.
no.
You know? And now
He embraced them.
I can see it
Embraced them.
also, I can see it also
Enrile,
with,
Virata, all of
I
them
can see
embraced
it
them.
also with the
Bongbong, yeah.
the
Bongbong.
current
That's correct.
president.
That's correct.
He has
Yes.
appointed very good men men and women in cabinet, in the cabinet, no, to be members
So
of the
the
cabinet.
transition actually is from the watch of the late president through his cabinet members,
Cabinet
who were my fraternity brothers. I worked with about 5 of them.
Oh, so
Then
that's
now,
fine.
of course, with President Bong now, who I have known since 1995, we ran in that election of Senate
So you can see that
midterm,
this is a
1995.
cohesive group,
Very.
cohesive team that could bring. I mean, with you there,
Yes.
having experienced the national development or the workings of the national development, you can, and because you are in a very good relationship with the current administration, you feel that this is an asset to Mindanao,
Yes,
that
very
you
much.
can bring progress.
And I think it may be a tall order for me.
It's a tall order,
But
yes.
I like the challenge to bring our brothers together under his concept and advocacy of national unity.
So earlier we were asking you about the transition from Mindanao that is just always been out of the out of the mind of people in the.
Correct. Malayo kami masyado.
In the leadership.
But although of course you have an indication about how rich
Center
it
of
is and everything,
government.
how can you make the transition? How can Mindanao make? How can you develop or Mindanao be developed into a it's very rich in natural resources.
We have vast.
Tawi-Tawi is Karaginan.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
We supply no less than 70%.
Correct. Yes.
In the world
7%
market.
of
70
market
market.
for the
Karaginan, the
Karaginan.
seaweed industry.
70% of
The entire-
of the production
of the country.
Philippine Karaginan
Yes,
comes
it's
from
ours.
Tawi-Tawi.
Tawi-Tawi.
And Karaginan is a fantastic
Yes.
ingredient for a
Maraming
lot of
usage
things.
yan.
So how would you
Well,
how
I have
would you
been
make this?
advocating, and even in my articles, I wrote more than 200 columns, articles in the Manila Bulletin. I was a columnist from 1996 to 2001. And all these industries I was already writing, but nobody listened or nobody took it up.
So what is missing?
No,
Funding,
that is missing.
interest.
The thing that is missing is national consciousness, national attention,
Support.
and national support. Because now we are in a food crisis. No?
Correct.
National security on food, food security is very vital in our national life. If we only put that much effort, time, and resources to Mindanao, it can easily be developed as the food basket of the country. It can feed our entire country, even for export.
Yes.
Okay, but we are not doing that effectively.
Why?
And under this president, who doesn't only advocate but even chaired the agriculture department, secretary, and because he's conscious and knowledgeable, well informed about the need for agriculture in our country. It is an agricultural economy, no? So putting focus on the Department of Agriculture and the allied, branches, agencies, or instrumentalities will take off Mindanao.
Yes.
So first, we have to put the needed infrastructure in the entire of Mindanao,
Are
from
you
Tawi-Tawi,
getting-
Sulu, Basilan, and the rest. No? Now, Maguindanao, for instance, and that mainland, has been known as the rice granary of this country for some
Yeah,
time.
right.
Pero hindi sinulong natin eh. For rice and corn, malaki ng bagay yan. No? Then, the fish and marine resources, nandoon na sa amin.
Correct,
So, Tawi-Tawi,
yes.
Basilan. We can supply the entire country. Now, hanggang gulunggong bilhin natin, import natin. Paanong klase naman ng country na ito?
Are you getting the
Di ba?
the attention in terms of infrastructure then?
And
No,
what
not much, minimal.
And what kind of infrastructure
No.
is essential?
Before I answer that, this is very important, and I'll repeat this in several talk shows. if Metro Manila was a boat, it would have sunk already long time ago with cement and steel. Why do we have to focus on Metro Manila? Metro Manila is not the entire country.
Correct, yes.
Mindanao, 1/3 of the country is where this government must focus.
Yes, okay.
If only to ensure our food security, malaking bagay ng mga kababayan natin doon. Our Muslim brothers, our Christian brothers, our Lumad brothers, we are together in all of this, in support of the President's, advocacy for food security. If easily 1/3 or at least maybe 1/5 of the budget of the national government annually is focused on Mindanao, focus on the food security, we'll not have problem in terms of
take off.
imagine we are even importing onions and all that. My God, ano naman yan? Nakaka-insulto naman sa atin
Is
yan.
it to be
Those
Presidente?
onions.
No, he knows. That's why he's moving in the right direction.
So,
And
Governor,
the Senate and the House, because these are two separate bodies, must support him in this advocacy.
advocacy.
Number one, I think, as I've repeatedly said this, and I think the President must have echoed this a number of times, a government that cannot feed its people has no business to govern. In the words of,
He's aware of that.
yes, very well, sir. And FPJ, in fairness, I was the closest Muslim leader to him, Fernando Po Jr. He was very close to the Muslim. He said, Al, he calls me, Brother Al, sabi niya, what I want to see is every family has food on its table. And that's food security.
Yes.
And the President is conscious about that. That's pursuing this. He
Si-
wants to
simple.
see that every
Break.
family has food on its table. Eh pag na-solve natin,
Simple
yun, all other
definition.
things can follow.
Correct, yes.
Diba?
So his mind and his heart is in the
It's
right
there.
place.
And I hope all the members of the cabinet,
can
follow
rally-
in
you
his,
can rally around him.
in his direction. And the Senate and the House, because important yan, we have to come up with pieces of legislation to support that and the national budget. Because that's the legislative. No?
Let's,
So
uh,
kailangan
They should
supportahan
stop
si
thinking about how
Presidente
to
dyan.
enrich themselves and enrich the Philippines.
No. And kaya sabi ni Bong, President, I always call it Bong,
Yeah, President.
sabi niya, kung ano yung gusto ninyo, yun din ang gusto ko. Kung ano yung hope ninyo, yun din ang hope ko. Di ba? He repeated this, even in Tagalog several times. And he means that because I know him from, way back.
From way back.
27 years of friendship and brotherhood.
What
I should know him.
you were with him when he was governor of Ilocos?
No.
Senator.
We touched base when we both ran for the Senate in
You
1995.
run for the Senate in 1995. I
Boss
see.
Danding kuhaan ko, may
Governor.
rest in peace. Dalawa lang kami hinanpick ni Boss Danding. Kuhaan
As
ko
what?
For the Senate. I was the only Muslim candidate.
You supported Bidanding.
But boss, Nationalist People's Coalition.
Coalition.
We were the only, NPC kami. So we were the only
Governor.
ones handpicked by Boss Danding to run for the Senate in 1995.
Let's hold on to our horses.
Yes, please.
We're having a commercial break, but we will be right back immediately.
Nasa kamay mo ang swerte, ngunit hindi ito isang laro na para lang sa iyo. Dahil bukod sa pag-asang maging milyonaryo, ang pagtangkilik mo sa loto at ipapang produkto ng PCSO ay nakakalikom ng pondo para sa mga programang pangkalusugan, tulong at serbisyong medikal at kawang-gawa.
Kasal, lahat ng minimiting makakamtan sa PCSO.
attractions, all new Bayan.
Every time I'm on the road, I can expect high performance from Phoenix Fuels. Now with Pulse technology, delivers enhanced power and acceleration to make every trip come alive.
We're having an animated discussion here in the background, but we're back with Straight Talk with the Governor Tillah. So, Ted, you were asking something from the governor?
Well, I was asking a lot of things, but basically, I'm really fascinated by this, by how rich Mindanao is. Because even, to be honest, I really don't know much about it. I'm further away.
Yes,
I'm in the Visayas.
Yeah, in
sorry.
Manila also.
No, I'm from the Visayas.
From Iloilo.
Well, middle.
I'm Bacolod and Iloilo,
Yeah.
no? So that's Visayas. But of course I've heard about how rich
Very rich.
how rich the natural resources.
Yeah, I
How
can
rich
imagine.
how rich
It's not
the
only rich, it's vast.
it's vast and rich,
Yes,
yes.
sayang
And
ba?
nature,
Sayang.
no, nature is so
Yeah.
and your cultural heritage
Very
is
much,
fantastic,
very
no?
much, very much.
And so and you have fantastic cuisine as well. Yeah, so you have all of this. How do you progress? How do you how do you get all of this? And then I mean Mindanao has a lot of potentials. But I guess it's the impression of a lot of people is that what hinders it the most is like terrorist groups, Busayap, which has lent a very bad reputation.
And neglect from
And neglect from the
The
national
national
government.
government.
Precisely, that's why it gave rise to this.
to that.
It gave rise to these groups. No? So, for instance, I guess one really major obstacle is peace and order,
Yes,
stability. Has that been addressed
We
effectively?
now already have
Or
that
do we-
in
yes.
terms of the rebellion, for instance.
Okay.
We now have, under the watch of our president now, Bong, both the MILF and the MLF are together now
Yes.
for the first time,
For the
supporting this presidency. Never done before. And outside of that, the sultanates, the datos,
Yeah, the
the attorney
sultanates.
generals are supporting him.
We should
And
talk about
of
that.
course, the professionals and the technocrats are all behind him.
Yes.
And I'm sure by year 2, because he's still organizing his government. First year mo sa magpatakbo ng gobyerno, mas kanyang sari-sari store,
Yes, yes.
di ba? You have to put your house in order first. And that's what he's trying to do. Let's give him, all the chance to organize his government
Yes.
and be patient with him.
Yes,
no.
correct, yeah.
By year 2, I'm sure he will now focus on the basic infrastructure for Mindanao. I'm sure it's at the back of his mind. And when we are able to do that, then we can now take off for the food security. Yan lang focus namin sa Mindanao, Brad. Tama na yun. We could
what-
have done
what
already
are the-
big.
What do you think should the president or have you? I'm sure you advise him.
Yes.
How would you advise him? What are the basic essential infrastructure that should be put in order?
Well, to start with, I've been advocating this years back, railway for Mindanao, a railway
Correct,
system,
yes.
to bring our cargo, all over Mindanao, kasi contiguous lang na area yan, except for the island provinces of Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Basilan. With that, we can now have bottoms, vessels refrigerated boats and all that, that can bring our produce, our fish, and all that to Zamboanga City. That's the main, hub. Then from there, we can take off to the rest of the country and even for export. So that's one. Then cold storages in all these island provinces. Our fish die of old age.
That's a pity.
That's how plentiful.
Grabe.
And
Now, with fish alone, that's protein, huh? It can supply the entire country.
Yes.
But we have always been delaying and delaying, delaying this.
It's a huge waste,
But huge neglect.
Die of
And
old
we
age.
go for export. Why do we have to import fish? My God. We can produce it there
Yes.
to feed our citizenry. At the same time, add on value for export. We can it. We even send it to Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and Japan. Nearby.
ASEAN countries.
ASEAN lang. Buhay na tayo doon sa economy natin.
What about the soil?
Very fertile. You throw a seed in hollow mainland, it will grow. That's how fertile. Maybe the blood of the martyrs from the Spanish conquistadores to the American period to our own government must have fertilized the soil. And in Sulu, for instance, which I've been advocating for years now, we have to put up a fruit processing plant right in the heart of Sulu mainland. We produce all kinds of fruits except apples and grapes. Lahat yun. And our fruits, just go to waste during the height of the season. Why don't we put that just one industry, Brad, doon sa Holo, buhay ng mga tao doon, and also contributing to the national coffers. For Tawi-Tawi, just the sewage industry, put the processing plant there, buhay na ang mga sewage farmers natin. At the
I
same
can
time,
imagine
contributing
a
again
lot
to
of
the national
industries.
coffers. Basilan is good for
Being
rubber,
developed.
and hemp, this cotton. Sa amin yun, sa Sulu.
Fuel resources.
Well, we have accordingly very good, quantity of oil there, pero hindi pa nahanis natin ng masyado yun, no? Now, even Malampay, that's the
What about
Sulu Palawan area.
renewable energy?
Well,
Alternative
I think
energy.
they're looking into that.
Alternative power.
But right now, in the Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Basilan communities, the solar lighting is very good. We have all the, the summer areas in that area, very much lighted. And of course, nuclear. It's about time. Many of the Muslim countries
Also, you would support
have
nuclear.
nuclear.
Even in Mindanao.
UAE, Egypt is getting more, and even I think Saudi Arabia is now exploring into that. Mas have nila pa yung oil nila, and maybe market their oil instead of using it, So,
Hydroelectric
alternative
is also-
sources of energy must be looked into by our Department of Energy very well. But homegrown, we have our own resources, vast and rich, and just food alone. is
What
malaking bagay na.
about your human resources? Labor force.
Well, when I was
How
in UP,
developed
brother, I
is
want
it?
to start with UP, University of the Philippines. We were only about a dozen or so during my time. Now, hundreds na yung mga taga-UP.
You mean
And
from
Muslims
Mindanao?
and from Mindanao and Muslims all over. Minsupala, Mindanao, Suru, and Palawan, we have technocrats from almost all, fields of study.
And that's a
We have
good thing.
many doctors, engineers of varied, categories, lawyers, technocrats, economists. I was one of the first economists, from that area. I took up economics and public ad. Ben Jokno was my classmate sa public ad, si Ben. And Romy Neri was my
Romy
junior.
Neri,
Was my
another
junior
brilliant, yes.
in UP School of Economics.
Another brilliant,
Who became NEDA Director General.
Correct,
Naglalakari ako between Diliman and Padre Paura kasi yung public ad doon pa sa Padre Paura.
Yeah, right.
So that's where Ben and I
Is there a
came
UP
from.
in Mindanao?
You have no UP Mindanao, but I think that should be. I was just with the UP administrative group last week. No, this week, 2 days ago. And I encouraged them to lakihan yung UP Mindanao doon. Give it more boost.
Where is it based?
In Davao.
Ah,
Sabi ko, lakihan yun.
Southern
And-
Mindanao.
and-
But what about Northern Mindanao? What are
What-
the schools in? Are there universities in Northern Mindanao?
Well, we have the MSU, Mindanao State University, but I think we have to
MSU is
strengthen
based where?
in Marawi City.
Marawi.
Right.
So, AUP system, I think, will be in place in that part of the region.
Talk about
Economy.
Marawi. Is Marawi fully back in shape?
Yes, yes, except for that ground zero, where
The bombings
the
were.
bombings were. But I
Yeah,
hope so much attention should be given there now so that they can recover
Yes,
and
but
take
why
off.
it takes so long?
I don't know. I don't know how they manage it. I was not part of
been,
that administration, but I think President
It
Bong
happened around
will look into it,
2017.
and we are assessing
So that's
everything.
5 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Go,
it's
5
really,
years.
it's
Tara-
really,
Tara
it's really a very complex problem.
Yes.
Because you have scarce resources, and how do you balance all of this? No, the
That's
needs
true,
of
that's
Mindanao
true.
and the needs of other parts of the country.
Oh, the second part
But
of this.
I agree and I completely support it now. That Mindanao, because it is so rich in resources, it could very well be solve the problems. A lot of these
Precisely.
problems
Yes.
that plague
And,
the president and no, agriculture.
I'm sure he's looking at it. No? And the second thing is, we have direct affinity with the Islamic world. There are
Yes.
57 Muslim countries. Most of them are oil producing outside of trade and industry.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's at the back of the mind of the president, and I'll be his key
Yes.
messenger
Oh.
to go to the Islamic
As-
world.
as the ambassador for the
as
OIC.
the presidential advisor on Muslim affairs, no? I'll take care of first the domestics, get our brothers together in the community. And this year one, year two, I'll be going to the Muslim countries as the president's envoy now. So domestically, yan ang addressing ko. Then on the foreign side, overseas, the 57 Muslim countries.
What will you be? What will be your call? What will you be asking them?
Well, this is very
Islamic
important.
countries,
This is very important. Before going to the technical and financial aspect of this question, zakat under the Islamic concept of 5 pillars of Islam, zakat is one of the pillars of Islam, and every Muslim country accumulates so much of that resource. We have not even touched the surface of it. Millions yan.
What is zakat?
Zakat, charity.
Charity.
Charity for wherever it's needed. We have not even touched on that. And I intend to touch that to a great extent when I finally visit these Muslim countries. I've already, out of 57 countries, which I'll brief the president anytime. Maybe
How many
this week.
countries, sir?
57. And most of them are oil producing.
Wow, there's a lot pala.
Now, so I'm
That
just
includes Dubai.
Iba, UAE and all that.
UAE,
Yes, yes.
Saudi.
Now, I'm only listing up about 20 of the 57
Yes.
countries now, which have oil and, demands for the supplies we have here, food, etc.
Yes.
So, with that, we'll be able to get, our Muslim brothers from the Islamic world to help us and beef up our resources. Now, with all the good intentions and plans of the president, kailangan additional resources, kailangan niya yan.
So-
It's not enough with the General Appropriations Act. Budget natin, di sapat yun, no? So, that is the other marching order that the president will be giving me to touch base with our Muslim brothers in the other countries. After all, we have, 20 million in our statistics, no? Muslims in this country. Although, one of my brothers who passed away said, sabi nila more than 10 million lang tayo because of statistical genocide.
Statistical
Genocide. Now, anyway, we have this.
Yeah.
And one of the prescriptions I have been telling the president, and which I put in writing, among others, is to harness Muslim scholars, Muslim professionals of national consequence for the diplomatic corps. We have 57 Muslim countries. Kahit hindi na lahat yun. 20 lang of the Muslim scholars, professionals of consequence, i-field natin doon, malaking tulong yun sa country natin because the good thing about a Muslim ambassador, he can pray with the king,
Yes,
with the
yes,
prince,
correct.
with the prime minister in the mosque.
That's true.
And only Muslims can do that.
Yes.
And that is the additional, kind of factor that will enhance that relationship between
Yeah.
our country and that Muslim country.
Have you talked to the president about this at
I'll
length?
be briefing him in his good time because I'm, looking at him focusing still on the, basic cabinet. No?
No, he's-
May mga cabinet pa din, hindi pa na ayos at hindi pa na lagyan. I'm waiting for it, and I'm sure before the year end, nakapag-usap na kami ng masinsinan. I'll give him a total profile of the Muslim of this country. The state of Muslim affairs, number one. Number, I said, 20 million statistical genocide.
20 million.
And the resources we have, mainly on agriculture, we have the
Bring him
fishing.
to Mindanao.
He has been there, in fairness to the president. There's one president that has been to Mindanao, it's Bong, during our hearings.
But
you
how
know?
much of Mindanao has he seen?
Oh, he has seen a lot. And, when he was senator, maskin sa tawi-tawi ko, tinatawag, Al, anong ito? Anong tingin mo? He's in touch.
He's in
And I provided him the network for not only Mindanao, Christian brothers, not and Lumad brothers for him. That's why in those hearings we had on the Bangsamoro Basic Law, which he chaired, it was the most inclusive of hearings ever in the Senate. We have the Lumad communities, our Christian brothers, our Muslim brothers, the MNLF, MILF, lahat yun, nakasama doon.
I've been wanting to ask this, Governor, about the Sabah question.
Yes.
What would be your advice to the president regarding this? Since there is already a arbitral ruling from the French court awarding $14.9 billion. That's a lot of money
Well,
to the Sultanate.
I'm a Tausug. And
Yeah.
I was
Also from Sulu, no?
Sulu. And the Sultan of Sulu and North Borneo has been recognized even before I was born. Okay, and we are inhabitants of the Sulu area.
1630s pa yan eh.
Okay, now
1630s is when it started.
Even before.
1380, Islam came to our country through the back door, Simunul Island, as the seat of Islam, to Bigindangan, where the first mosque was built. Okay, and of course the Sultan followed. No? Now, with the Sultanate of Sulu, it has been a standing claim. As a matter of the Malaysian government, up to now, remits to the local bank.
Yeah,
So may remittance pala.
Oh, lease
Yeah,
contract.
every year.
And nominal.
Nothing, nothing,
Very nominal.
Nothing fantastic.
nothing near
None,
1 billion.
Bigger.
Okay.
Even the minimum wage is higher.
The problem really, if you, I don't know how true this is, but they say that the problem really started because, Brunei,
Right,
the Brunei government, that was backing,
yes.
they, was Sulu, no?
Yes, yes.
The Sulu helped to settle
Correct.
a conflict in Brunei.
In Brunei.
In gratitude.
Gratitude, correct.
The government of Brunei
Yes.
gave them, I think, the eastern part of Sabah.
Now, which is now the Sabah claim.
Which is now Sabah.
correct.
But
That's correct.
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing this up for clarification. I don't mean to know.
No, that's correct.
But the thing now is that when the
map.
agreement was made,
Yeah.
the language that was used was seed,
correct.
seed and lease.
Lease, yeah.
So that was,
Yeah.
but in 1903, there was hindi ba the Spaniards
Yes,
left
yes.
and then the Americans took over.
Americans.
So there was another, because the Americans had to translate this document,
Yes, yes.
and in that new document it said, what did it say? It said
It's a lease contract.
This contract.
It's not a
There-
sale.
there's
Never was
another
a sale.
it said
interpretation.
it says it's
Rental,
that it's
rental.
seeded.
Yes.
Seed, yeah.
So there was a disparity in terms.
Yeah.
So now,
Lost in translation.
we lost Sabah because Sabah now has been, you know what I mean?
It's getting, the discussion
started-
becoming exciting, but we have to take a break muna.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sa mga parties may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers. Still phone remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Nasa kamay mo ang swerte, ngunit hindi ito isang laro na para lang sa iyo. Dahil bukod sa pag-asang maging milyonaryo, ang pagtangkilik mo sa loto at ipapang produkto ng PCSO ay nakakalikom ng pondo para sa mga programang pangkalusugan, tulong at serbisyong medikal at kawang-gawa.
Kasal, lahat ng minimithi makakamtan sa PCSO.
So we're back here at Straight Talk with Governor Alfila.
Very interesting
Yeah,
conversation.
it's we're touching on the Sabah claim, and have you talked with the president regarding this claim?
Not yet, but you know, the heirs of the Sultan of Sulu are you know, awaiting any direction that the government will take, because this is a long-standing
process, no?
claim, you know, and I was still in UP when this claim was.
When you say heirs of the Sultan of Sulu, how many heirs are
There's
there?
so many of them.
Is it thousands, hundreds?
Belonging mainly to the Kiram family. Kiram family dyan eh. From Sultan Jamalul Kiram the first, the second, the third. The third itong si Jamalul, if you remember,
Okay,
Kiram. And of course the succeeding brothers that I was policy advisor of three succeeding sultans. Sultan Jamalul Kiram, third, then Sultan Ismail Kiram the second, and now the reigning Sultan Pugdalon Kiram.
It all goes back to the time of the former president, the father of the Bongbong Marcos.
Yes,
Yeah,
even before
the
that.
historical
President,
connections.
President Diosdado Macapagal was the first president of our country that pursued the claim and organized this, and if my memory serves me right, the Vice President then, Emmanuel Pelaez, who is from Mindanao, concurrent Foreign Affairs Secretary, was charged with that role of pursuing the claim. And Senator Jovito Salonga was the head of the technical staff that prepared all the documents and all that. And at that time, if I remember right, we are ready to submit ourselves to the International Court of Justice. But
International Court of Justice.
Malaysia did not want to participate. So it takes two to tango.
Yeah, so you can proceed.
It did not prosper. But we were dead bent in pursuing the claim.
bringing
From the
this-
time of President Macapagal, then President Marcos also pursued it.
So bringing this case to the current, now what is the, how is it now? Where does it stand? I mean, this case.
Primarily the claim. Should we
The claim is still there.
should we pursue it?
The claim is still
Or
there.
is
There's
it
been some movement now.
Yes. But
Something for the
it
Sultanate.
depends on the, how we want to, pursue this. No? And Malaysia knows for a fact that that property is owned by the Sultan of Sulu. A little historical touch on this. There was an internal kind of turmoil in Brunei, and it was the Sultan of Sulu that sent his forces to help quell that rebellion or that problem. And as a token of appreciation, gesture for that helping quell the problem in Brunei, the Sultan of Brunei awarded or rewarded the Sultan of Sulu through his forces with that
Sabah.
piece of land which is now Sabah. That's the historic.
So
Historic
and you cannot
background.
change history there.
Yeah.
History will stand as is. Now, what happens after that is now the
happens
question.
So Malaysia claims Sabah as their own.
They claim it as their own when they don't have
That's
any
already been given
Sultan.
to.
Yeah, that's why the Sultan of Sulu expanded its territorial coverage. Before it was only Sulu, which includes Tawi-Tawi, because Tawi-Tawi was not yet created as a new province
Yes.
during
Bago
those
kayo,
times.
yeah.
No? So Sulu, Basilan, Zamboanga Peninsula was part, and Palawan.
Palawan also.
Yes,
Which
the whole
part
of Palawan. The whole of
The
Palawan
whole of
was under
Palawan?
the Sultanate of Sulu.
Really?
Yes. The whole of Zamboanga was under the Sultanate of Sulu. And added the fifth star, which is Sabah. So you have the flag of the Sultanate of Sulu and Sabah.
with
Five
stars.
stars.
So that explains the
That
5 stars.
5 stars of the flag of the Sultanate of Sulu.
Really?
That has not changed.
Very interesting.
Yeah. All we have to do is pursue this claim, and hopefully Malaysia will now come and help, in this resolution of this, long-standing historic issue, which legally, historically belongs to the Sultan of Sulu.
Correct, yes, sir.
And as brothers, with our Muslims, they should come and settle this with us. And under a new president now, who is very historic in appreciation, legally and all that.
appreciation
can
for history.
help this. And Malaysia, I think, will be in the best position to sit down with the foreign government, because the Sultanate already have given the sovereign rights to our government under President Marcos in that time.
Governor, do you see that happening under
Well,
present
Malaysia
administration?
should take advantage of this new administration. President Bongo Marcos is very knowledgeable, very authoritative, very historic oriented, and this is the best chance that Malaysia can settle this.
And there's
with
a
our
new
government.
Malaysian leadership now.
Yes, they should take advantage of this, the new administration, and hopefully we'll settle it, peacefully, amicably, and maybe there are ways and means and terms that can be discussed over a peace table and settle this once and for all. And this must take advantage of President Bong, who is now at the helm of government.
Another intriguing historical footnote, Governor, is the one is intricately linked with the Sabah question, the Jabida massacre.
Well, that was
Is
in
that
the
myth or?
well, there are
So many
versions.
interpretations of that massacre.
There are many versions, and I think it's more left to history. There's many versions. But what is important is
but that to understand
Yes.
why Mindanao is like that. Why the call for economy?
Yes.
It's it's a really long
Yes,
you have to
yeah.
understand that. I mean, I guess to understand why Mindanao, for all its richness,
vast.
yeah.
Sorry.
It
So
has-
that's why
it has become like that.
I've been advocating
may
in pursuit of our.
parang may bad blood between Mindanao and the rest of the country.
That's why we have to back that, and
Yes, I
this
think
is our
we have
prescription, and I think the president is looking at it closely. Only a federal system of government can keep this country intact.
But are we?
And
Okay,
a
now
federal
federalism,
state,
yes.
I have discussed this thoroughly with then late Senator Nanay Pimentel, Chief Justice Repuno, no?
Correct,
At length.
Do
I
you
said,
see it moving
under a
forward?
federal system, under a federal system, I was proposing 2 federal states for the Muslims, for the island provinces of Suluta, Basilan, and the Zamboanga area, and the landlocked provinces of Maguindanao and Lanao Sur. But,
Maguindanao Sur,
so in our discussions, Nene gave a very good compromise formula. Sabi niya, ganito na lang. Isa lang federal state kasi maraming federal states yan eh. Isa lang, but 2 autonomous regions within that federal state.
Okay.
One
And-
for the island provinces
Okay.
and one for the landlocked. And I agreed with that. Okay na yun. That was my first proposal to the CONCOM, even before that. And Chief Justice Repuno was very...
That's at work.
yes,
Two autonomous.
Yes, under one federal state.
Under one
Then
federal
second,
state.
it was the first that I put forward, although I was not a member of the Constitutional Commission that was organized and chaired by Chief Justice Puno, but I was relating with, basically with the Chief Justice and Senator Nanay Pimentel in terms of my inputs. The second, I said, in the interim, we have senators by regions. That was my political...
Senators by region.
regions.
Okay.
It was my political, how do you call this, formula. When I ran for the Senate in 1995.
Correct.
And in deference, both Senators Nene Pimentel and Manong Johnny Enrile supported me in that. I was the one who proposed that. And it was included in the Senate
Was there a resolution?
Yes, yes. And that was my political agenda in 1995 when I ran for the Senate. And Chief Justice Repuno and Senator Nene Pimentel put that into the Constitutional Commission report, electing senators by regions.
Yes.
Okay. Then the third was, which I argued strongly, when I was governor and vice president for Mindanao of the League of Governor City Mayors of the Philippines, I proposed the reversion, or the changing of the era internal revenue
yeah,
allocation.
Correct.
During our time, it was only 20 for the local government units. So I argued,
80-20.
yeah, that was my proposal. And Teddy Boy Locsin and the others who were with Cory were in the workshop at Malacanang, came down and said, walang pera si ma'am, iyan mo yan. No, sabi ko na, I cannot withdraw it. I cannot withdraw it. No, I cannot withdraw it. It's a principled position, and Teddy did not know that. I made my very good research on this. How can the national government not have that much money? You have the BIR, you have the customs, you have the Department of Trade, you have bilateral agreements, you have the World Bank. The local government unit, katulad ko sabi, I'm governor of Davao, only the IRA.
Yeah.
Alisin mo pa 80%, ano mawawala sa akin doon?
Did they agree with you?
They still wanted me to withdraw. I didn't withdraw. Anyway, sabi ko, if you want to have it amended, sa inyo na yan, but I will not withdraw. So they amended it and gave us additional 10% lang.
So
So
30.
30 during my time.
Pero it's good that the Supreme Court favored the Mandanas ruling.
No, yeah, that
that
Mandanas
would
ruling
change
came
everything.
much later, no?
Yeah.
Pero itong madugo ito yung ginawa namin, no?
Ah.
So I had 30% for the LGUs, 70 for the national.
National.
And after that, we had this election of governors, officials of the LGU. I was not interested in the election. You know, president of the league, bloody, si Bitin Brengio and Joy Laurel, the nephew of Doy. Then Vice President for Luzon, Vice President contested. Pagkabot sa Vice President for Mindanao, the governors, also, wag na katatakak mo, si Al na lang, si Al. So I was the only, one elected unopposed because of my, proposal
Decision,
for the reversion, instead of 2080. Eh, wala kami nagara. At least na-increase by 10%. I hope now, I don't know if it's 40 or 50, but then he has a good formula there. Sabi niya, Al, over the phone, you'll be happy about this. Sabi ko, ano na 2080? Sabi ko, 80 na ba? Hindi, ganito, sabi niya. What you were fighting for was IRA, internal revenue allocation. What we are doing in the commission, constitution, 50-50 in all taxes. Sabi ko, okay na pag all taxes.
Yeah, all
taxes.
Oh, that's even better. So, sabi ko, rest my case. That's okay. So, yung tatlo, napasok
local
ko.
government
So,
Napasok ko, katatlo. Yung, instead of era 2080, 50-50 in terms of all taxes, that's good. Now, then, senators by regions, nakuha ko rin yun, nandoon. And federal state with 2 autonomous regions. Okay na sabi ko sa akin. May he rest in peace.
Hold on. So is it carried out?
It's in the commission. All we have to do is activate the Puno Commission,
Commission,
and let them continue with the work, and let us have the federal system of government, parliamentary.
So the discussions have been
Very thorough and very serious ang mga discussions now. And I was there through Senator Nene Pinter and through the Chief Justice.
I know
Behind the
Nene.
scene lang
I
ako.
visited Nene several times when he was alive.
Yeah, but I did not participate in the CONCOM itself. Hanggang I write my inputs.
Can that be included in the move for Chacha?
Yes, very much.
federalism?
It should be.
You think this federal government will be, will be passed?
Well, a federal system, you can,
Sani Dominguez is much against it kasi sabi niya, grabe.
in
ang
taxation
expense
and
niyan.
all that, but it
Expenses.
can be tailored to, address our constraints, no? U.S. is a federal system,
Yeah, for sure.
presidential federal. Germany is a federal
Yes,
system,
correct, yeah.
parliamentary federal. Now, if we are used to the presidential federal, we adapt that. Kasi used na tayo dyan eh. It's a matter of having federal states na. Now, so you have
Pwede presidential system, tapos may federal
federal,
states.
yeah.
United States, okay, correct.
Germany is parliamentary federal. So we can choose either of
Yeah.
these options. No? But what is important is to have the powers go down to the regional, local levels. Imperial Manila is lording it over all local government units in this country. That's gross
We're lording
unfair.
it all over and then
Pagkatapos wala ka pang representation sa Senado, wala ka pang representation sa kabinete. Only lately we have this kind of quality representation. Only because we have very, forward-looking heads of states.
Correct.
Like the past presidents, starting with President Macapagal, President Marcos, now President Bongbong. So this is the only way we can keep our country intact. It will render rebellion history.
History.
Bakit ka pa mag-aalsa?
Ineffective,
You are running your own government. You are having your own resources. You are able to harness your vast and rich resources in Mindanao. Sa food lang, buhay na kami doon. And we can even feed the entire country from Mindanao.
I always believe that the military solution is not.
No, never a solution.
It's not an answer
No.
to the unrest there.
Never.
Otherwise,
should really
if
develop.
it was an answer, Brad, it would have ended long time ago. The Spanish conquistadores tried it
Yeah.
for what, 300 years or so?
Yeah.
The American period, more than almost 50
They
years.
never conquered
Never.
Mindanao.
They never
Conquered
did.
nor
No,
subdued
they will
us.
never.
Never.
Never
Our own
subdued.
government tried it. Cameroon insurrection, all that. MNLF, MLF.
You did not surrender your guns. di ba?
Precisely.
You
So you
march
can
around.
never have a military solution to solve, a unity problem in the country. Alisin mo yung armas, i-forward mo yung mga tractors, all these facilities for development. That will appease
Sir, by the
people
way,
there.
how is the Abu Sayyaf now?
Well,
have they
Abu
been
Sayyaf is a
neutralized?
small group. We can
Have they been
negotiate. We can
neutralized?
talk with them.
Are they still,
No, we can. They're still, but small.
unless it's
small.
dating,
Well, some
It's
pilots,
still,
isolated areas. But we can talk to our brothers about it.
What about this, when there was some talk, CIA, they were saying the CIA was able to detect that there are some terrorist groups.
Well,
Yung mga
itong
ISIS.
mga terrorism, that happens in almost all parts of the world. Meron yan palagi. Only the level is different, no? Now, here, maybe it happens that there are Muslims, some of them. Okay. But all of this will come to pass once we have socio-economic development of the area. So, we address that first. Develop Mindanao as the food basket of the country. You are not only helping the people of Mindanao, Muslims, Christians, Lumad, you are also helping the national government. Hindi na tayo mag-import ng food. Why should we import food? We have fertile soil. We have a good climate. We have all the resources, vast and rich. Why should we import food?
Correct. Yeah.
We import things that we don't need or we don't have. Okay? Yun ang important, technology and other things, but not food.
Yeah.
Because we can supply our own
That's
country.
right. The president is
Precisely.
he has made his priority
Very
food
clear,
security,
and that's why he headed the Department of Agriculture.
Were you the one who advised him on that?
Well, we have been talking about this when he was senator, so he knows
Like a
where this
something,
country
yeah.
must go.
Yeah.
That's why he has all the inputs here. So we just have to help the president.
You know, 1 hour is so
Kulang, no?
short a time po.
Kulang.
To
Tapos na ba?
tackle all the problems.
Extra na.
I guess so, yeah.
This conversation should
We can
Extend
have,
for,
we can have part
forever.
two.
yeah,
with the
dapat sa
president.
Mindanao na.
Oh, at with the president.
With the president.
So the president
I
will
think that the
be
president should,
articulating his
he
views.
should have a summit there
Yes, of course, we
to
have to.
give
That could
focus
be
on
a
Mindanao.
good
Yeah,
proposal.
and we will be there to cover it.
Cover
Yes,
it.
correct. That's good.
So,
Tama yun.
Governor,
I mean, it's fantastic. Now I'm fascinated by Mindanao.
yeah, after the discussion with the governor.
I did some research
Anytime.
last night. I did some basic research last night.
Okay. So,
Okay.
And it happened, my God, we have so many common denominators. And
So,
Santa
Tony
Nina
Gat.
Rasul,
Tony Gat.
I was with Santa Nina Rasul in the campaign.
Yeah.
Pare. You know, went around the country with him because my uncle ran a senator.
Yeah.
You know, galing ni Santa Nina Rasul.
Then my brother, Tony Gatmaitan.
Tony got my tan, my goodness.
close.
I miss him so much.
He's the closest of my brother.
Grabe, he had a lot of
so
class.
on that note,
Brilliant.
yeah, you can catch us on YouTube and Facebook. So
Thank you, thank you.
It's been a
this
very
is
interesting-
straight talk, and it's a very interesting,
Very interesting and
discussion.
enlightening, informative conversation with
The
his,
governor,
with the governor, former governor of Tawi-Tawi, and now the President
President
Bongbong Marcos
advisor
advisor for
on
Muslim
for
affairs.
Muslim affairs.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for spending time with us.
Well, anytime for the country,
Thank you.
for national unity.
On that note, thank you.